relaxing time travel, a bedtime journey through Edo, Japan. Ever wondered what moments of peace might await you in another century? Imagine stepping quietly through a doorway in time into the lantern-lit streets of Edo, Japan, where soft winds carry the scent of pine, ink, and distant temple bells. Tonight, you are invited on a journey beyond the boundaries of today, a journey that asks nothing of you but to breathe, to listen, and to let your mind drift like cherry blossoms on a spring breeze. As you settle into the comfort of wherever you rest, allow your body to become heavy. Your shoulders soften, your breath slows. Each exhale carries away the weight of the day, and each inhale draws in stillness. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. Only this moment, this breath, this gentle unfolding. And as you close your eyes, you notice something unusual, a soft glow in the corner of your vision, a doorway that wasn't there before. It stands alone, outlined in pale golden light. The wood is ancient, weathered by centuries, yet somehow welcoming. There is no wall around it, no building to which it belongs. Only this threshold, shimmering quietly in the darkness. You feel no fear, only curiosity, a gentle pull, like the memory of a place you've never been but somehow recognize. And so, with the slowness of a dream, you rise. Your feet touch cool ground, and you walk toward the doorway. The light grows warmer as you approach. You can smell something carried on the air, cedar wood and rain, incense and earth, the scent of another time. You reach out. Your fingers brush the wooden frame. It is smooth, worn by countless hands before yours. And then you step through. The world shifts softly, like a curtain drawn aside. When you open your eyes, you are standing on a quiet street in Edo, Japan. The year is unclear. Somewhere in the gentle heart of the Edo period, when peace settled over the islands like morning mist. Above you, the sky is a deep indigo, not yet black, holding the last breath of twilight. A few stars have appeared, small and bright, watching over the sleeping rooftops. The street is narrow, paved with smooth stones that gleam faintly in the lantern light. On either side, wooden buildings rise 2 stories high, their dark timbers framing walls of white plaster. Sliding doors, covered in translucent paper, glow softly from within. You can see shadows moving behind the screens, lives unfolding in gentle rhythm. Lanterns hang at intervals along the street, their paper sides painted with delicate characters and simple images, cranes, pine branches, waves. The candlelight inside flickers, casting warm pools of amber onto the stones below. Everything is quiet, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of peace, of a world settling into evening. You begin to walk. Your footsteps are soft on the stones. The air is cool against your face, carrying the scent of wood smoke and something sweet, perhaps the last blossoms of spring, or the first hint of summer jasmine. As you walk, you notice the details, the way the lantern light catches on a brass door handle, the shadow of a potted plant against a paper screen, the delicate curve of a roof tile shaped like a wave frozen in clay. There is no hurry here. Time moves differently, like honey dripping from a spoon. You pass a small shop, its front open to the street. Inside, An elderly woman arranges ceramic bowls on a low shelf. Her movements are precise, almost meditative. She doesn't look up, but you sense she knows you're there, a guest in her world. Further along, you hear water, a gentle trickling, steady and calming. You come to a small fountain, carved from stone and set into the wall. Water flows from a bamboo pipe into a stone basin, the sound like a soft conversation between the elements. A wooden ladle rests on the basin's edge. You pause here. The sound of the water fills the space around you, washing away any lingering thoughts. There is only this moment, this breath, this quiet street in another time. And as you stand there, you notice music, distant and faint, but unmistakable. The sound of a shakuhachi flute, its notes rising and falling like birds in flight. The music seems to come from deeper in the city. And so, with the slowness of a dream, you continue walking. The street opens into a small square where several paths converge. In the center stands a cherry tree, its branches dark against the deepening sky. Though most of the blossoms have fallen, a few pale petals still cling to the branches, trembling in the night breeze. The ground beneath the tree is scattered with fallen petals, like snow that will never melt. You stop to look at them, these small messengers of impermanence. Everything changes, everything passes, and yet there is beauty in the passing. At the edge of the square, you notice a tea house. Its entrance is marked by a simple curtain, dark blue fabric with a white crest embroidered at the center. Through the open doorway, you can see warm light and the shapes of people sitting in quiet conversation. But the flute music doesn't come from there. It drifts from a narrower street, one that slopes gently upward away from the square. You follow the sound. The street climbs between houses and workshops. You pass a blacksmith's forge, now dark and cold for the evening. The tools hang on the wall in careful order, each in its place. Outside, a pair of sandals rest on a stone step, waiting for morning. The music grows clearer. Each note hangs in the air, complete in itself, before the next one arrives. There is no rush, no need to fill every silence. You turn a corner and find yourself in a small courtyard, enclosed by wooden buildings. At the center, sitting on a low platform, is a man playing the shakuhachi. He wears simple robes, deep gray in color, and his eyes are closed. The bamboo flute is raised to his lips, and he plays as if he and the instrument are one breath, one being. You stand at the edge of the courtyard, not wanting to disturb him. But somehow, you know you are welcome. This music is not a performance. It is an offering, a prayer without words. The notes rise and fall, each one like a drop of water, joining a stream. They speak of mountains and mist, of loneliness that is not lonely, of acceptance and release. You feel your breath synchronizing with the rhythm of the music, slow and deep, in and out, like waves on a distant shore. When the song ends, the musician lowers his flute. He opens his eyes and looks at you, though you cannot quite see his face in the shadows. He bows slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement. You bow in return. And then, without a word, he rises and walks through a doorway behind him, disappearing into the building. The courtyard is empty now. but the music seems to linger in the air, like incense smoke. You remain there for a moment, letting the silence settle, and then you continue on your way. The street leads you to a canal. The water is dark and smooth, reflecting the lanterns that hang along the walkway. A small arched bridge crosses to the other side, its wooden railings worn smooth by countless hands. You step onto the bridge and pause at the center, looking down at the water. Your reflection gazes back at you, distorted slightly by the gentle current. On the far bank, you see a row of buildings with wide eaves and elegant doorways. One of them has its doors slid open, revealing a room lit by soft lamplight. Inside, you can see scrolls hanging on the wall and a low table set with brushes and ink, a calligraphy studio. Something draws you toward it. Perhaps it's the way the light falls across the wooden floor, creating patterns of gold and shadow. Perhaps it's the scent of ink and paper that drifts through the air. You cross the bridge and approach the entrance. There are no steps here, only a smooth transition from stone to polished wood. You remove your shoes, though you don't remember wearing any, and step inside. The room is larger than it appeared from outside. The floor is covered in tatami mats, their woven surface soft beneath your feet. The walls are lined with shelves holding jars of ink, bundles of brushes, and stacks of paper. At the far end of the room, an elderly man kneels at a low table. Before him is a sheet of white paper, pristine and waiting. He holds a brush in one hand, its tip dark with ink. He looks up as you enter, his face calm and weathered like driftwood. His eyes hold a gentle light, as if he sees not just you, but the journey you've taken to arrive here. "Welcome," he says simply. His voice is soft but clear, like water over stone. You have come to learn the breath of the brush. You don't question how he knows. In this place, such things need no explanation. He gestures to a cushion across from him, and you kneel there, settling into a comfortable position. The room is warm, heated by a small brazier in the corner. The coals glow red-orange, casting dancing shadows on the ceiling. The calligrapher prepares ink, grinding an ink stick against a stone with a small amount of water. The sound is gentle, rhythmic, like meditation made audible. "In calligraphy," he says quietly, "we do not force the brush. We breathe with it. Each stroke is one breath, one moment of complete attention." He demonstrates. Holding the brush vertically, he touches it to the paper. A single stroke appears, dark and confident, tapering at the end. It looks simple, yet contains entire worlds. "The brush remembers everything," he continues. "Your breath, your heartbeat, your state of mind. If you are anxious, the line will tremble. If you are present, the line will flow." He offers you a brush. It is lighter than you expected, made of bamboo and soft animal hair. The handle is smooth, shaped by years of use. Before you is a fresh sheet of paper. The calligrapher places a small dish of ink within reach. "We will write Ma," he says, "the character for space, for pause, for the silence between sounds." He shows you the shape, a simple square with a line inside. But as you watch him write it again, you realize there is nothing simple about it. Each stroke requires complete commitment, absolute presence. "Breathe in," he instructs. "Hold the brush ready, and as you breathe out, make your stroke." You dip the brush in the ink. The bristles drink it in, darkening. You position the brush above the paper. You breathe in, feeling the air fill your lungs. The room seems to grow quieter still, and as you exhale, you lower the brush. It touches the paper. Ink flows. You move your hand, and a line appears. It's not perfect. It wavers slightly, but the calligrapher nods with approval. "Good," he says. "You were present. That is all that matters." You practice for a while, though time seems to have no meaning here. Each stroke is a meditation, each breath a small letting go. The calligrapher speaks occasionally, his words like stones dropped into still water, creating ripples of meaning. In Edo, we understand that beauty is not impermanence, but in the fleeting moment. The cherry blossom is beautiful because it falls. The brushstroke is complete because it cannot be undone. You continue writing, letting the rhythm of breath and brush merge into one, and slowly something shifts. The act of writing becomes effortless. Your hand moves as if guided by something beyond thought. The brush becomes an extension of your breath. "Now you understand," the calligrapher says softly. "You have touched Ma, the space where everything rests." He smiles, a gentle expression that asks for nothing, expects nothing. "You may take this with you," he says, gesturing to your papers. "But remember, the practice lives in the doing, not in the keeping." You bow deeply, gratitude flowing through you like water through cupped hands. When you rise and turn to leave, you notice something you hadn't seen before. In the corner of the room, there is a small alcove. Inside, a single scroll hangs on the wall, and below it, a simple vase holds one white flower. Nothing more, nothing less, perfect in its simplicity. You step back outside into the cool night air. The city has grown quieter still. Fewer lanterns burn now, and the streets are nearly empty. In the distance, you hear the sound of temple bells, deep, resonant tones that seem to vibrate in your chest. You follow the sound without thinking, your feet carrying you up gentle slopes and down narrow passages. The buildings here are older, their wood darker, their presence more solemn. You arrive at a temple. Stone steps lead up through a grove of pine trees. The trees are ancient, their branches twisted into shapes that speak of centuries. The air here is different, cooler, tinged with the scent of cedar and incense. You begin to climb the steps. Each one is worn smooth in the center, shaped by countless pilgrims who came before you. Your breath falls into rhythm with your steps. One breath, one step, one breath, one step. At the top of the stairs, the path levels out onto a courtyard. The temple building stands before you, its roof tiled in grey, its wooden pillars painted a deep red that is almost black in the night. The main doors are closed, but a smaller side entrance is open. Soft light spills out, and with it, the sound of chanting. Many voices, low and steady, reciting sutras in unison. You approach slowly, reverently. You're not sure if you should enter, but then you see a monk standing near the entrance. He wears simple robes and has a shaved head. When he sees you, he brings his palms together and bows. You bow in return. He gestures towards the entrance, inviting you inside. You step through the doorway and into another world. The interior of the temple is vast and dimly lit. Dozens of candles flicker on the altar, their light reflecting off golden statues and polished wood. The air is thick with incense, sandalwood, and something sweeter, perhaps lotus or chrysanthemum. Monks sit in rows on the floor, their backs straight, their voices blending into a single continuous tone. The chanting is hypnotic, each syllable flowing into the next like water over stones. You find a place near the back and kneel on a cushion. The floor beneath you is smooth and cool. As you settle into stillness, the chanting seems to fill the space inside you. It resonates in your bones, in your breath, in the quiet chambers of your heart. There are no words you understand, yet the meaning is clear. It speaks of letting go, of returning to the source, of the great emptiness that holds all things. You close your eyes. The voices continue, rising and falling like waves. Time dissolves. There is no past, no future, only this eternal present, this endless moment of sound and silence intertwined. When you open your eyes again, the chanting has ended. The monks are rising, moving silently toward the exits. The candles on the altar burn lower, their flames small and steady. You remain seated for a while longer, letting the silence settle into your bones. Eventually, you rise and make your way back outside. The night air feels sharp and clean after the incense-heavy atmosphere of the temple. The monk who greeted you earlier is standing near the steps. He bows again, deeper this time, and you understand it as a farewell, a blessing for your journey. You bow in return, then begin descending the steps. At the bottom of the temple stairs, the path forks. To the left, it leads back toward the city. To the right, it continues into darkness, away from the lantern light, into what appears to be a forest. You choose the forest. The path is narrow, barely visible in the starlight, but your eyes adjust and you can make out the shapes of trees on either side. These are not pines, but bamboo, tall, slender stalks that rise toward the sky like silent sentinels. As you walk, the bamboo grows denser. Soon, you are surrounded by it. The stalks stand so close together that they block out the sky, creating a tunnel of green-black shadows. But there is light here too, not from lanterns or stars, but from something within the bamboo itself. A faint phosphorescence, a ghostly glow that seems to emanate from the plants. The air is different here, cooler, more humid. You can hear water somewhere nearby, trickling over rocks. And then you hear it, the sound that bamboo makes when the wind passes through, a soft clicking, rustling whisper as the stalks sway and tap against one another. It sounds like rain, like secrets being shared, like the forest breathing. You walk slowly, letting the sound wash over you. There is something ancient about this place, something that predates the city, the temples, even the trees themselves. You come to a small clearing where the bamboo opens up slightly. In the center is a shrine, just a simple wooden structure, no bigger than a birdhouse, set on a stone pedestal. Before it, someone has left offerings: a bowl of rice, a cup of sake, a branch of plum blossoms. You pause here, feeling the presence of something beyond words. Not supernatural exactly, but other. The spirits that live in wild places, in the spaces between human understanding, you close your eyes and listen to the bamboo, to the water, to your own breath. And in that listening, you find a kind of peace that has no name, a peace that doesn't come from the absence of trouble, but from the acceptance of everything as it is. After a time, minutes or hours, you cannot tell. You continue walking. The path winds deeper into the bamboo forest, then gradually begins to climb. The ground beneath your feet becomes rocky, and the bamboo gives way to other trees. Maples and cedars, their branches heavy with shadow. You are ascending a mountain. The climb is gentle, the path well worn. Occasionally, you pass stone markers with characters carved into them, trail markers left by travelers long ago. The air grows thinner, cooler. You can see your breath now, small clouds that dissipate quickly. Above you, through breaks in the trees, you catch glimpses of the sky. It has changed. The deep indigo has faded to something lighter, a pale blue-gray that speaks of the hour before dawn. You realize you've been walking all night, and yet you feel no fatigue, only a deep, abiding calm. The path levels out onto a small plateau. Here, the trees are sparse, and you can see the landscape stretching out below. The city of Edo, now distant and small, its lanterns like scattered stars. And beyond the city, you can see the ocean, a dark expanse that meets the lightening sky at a distant horizon. You stand there, watching, waiting, and then, slowly, the sun begins to rise. At first, it's just a glow, a subtle warming of the sky's edge. Then, a sliver of gold appears, bright and impossibly beautiful. The light spreads across the water, turning it from black to navy to brilliant azure. The clouds catch fire, burning orange and pink and gold. The world awakens. Birds begin to sing, first one, then another, then a chorus. The wind stirs, carrying the scent of pine and earth and sea. And in this moment, you understand something without words. Something about the nature of time, of beauty, of existence itself. All things pass, all things change. And yet, this moment, right now, right here, is eternal. The sun continues to rise, and you continue to watch, your heart full of something that feels like gratitude, like wonder, like coming home. Eventually, you turn away from the view and begin descending the mountain. The path leads you down through the trees, past the bamboo forest, back toward the edges of the city. But you don't return the same way you came. Instead, the path leads you to a different part of Edo, a quieter district where the buildings are smaller and gardens are more common. You come to a small village within the city. Wooden houses cluster around a central square where a well stands. Women are drawing water, their movements practiced and efficient. They smile at one another, exchanging quiet words. Children play nearby, rolling a ball back and forth, their laughter like bells. You walk through this peaceful scene, feeling both a part of it and apart from it. A traveler, a witness, a dreamer. At the edge of the village, you find a small house with an open front. Inside, an old man sits at a loom, weaving fabric. The shuttle moves back and forth, creating intricate patterns in shades of blue and cream. He sees you watching and nods, inviting you closer. This pattern, san, he says, his hands never stopping their work, is called Segaiha, the waves of the blue sea. My grandfather taught it to me, and his grandfather taught it to him. The pattern is mesmerizing, overlapping arcs that suggest waves, yes, but also scales, also clouds, also the infinite repetition of nature itself. Each thread is important, he continues. Each one contributes to the whole. If one is missing, the pattern breaks. But when all are present, working together, beauty emerges. You watch him work for a while, the shuttle flying, the fabric growing. There's something meditative about it, like the calligraphy, like the chanting in the temple. Everything here is practice. Everything is prayer. When you finally move on, the weaver bows slightly without looking up, his attention still focused on his work. You continue walking, passing through narrow lanes and across small bridges. You see rice paddies in the distance, their flooded fields reflecting the sky like mirrors. Farmers work in the early morning light, their broad hats shading their faces. You pass a tea field where women pick leaves with quick, precise movements, dropping them into baskets on their backs. Everything is alive. Everything is in motion. And yet, everything is also still, part of a larger pattern that never begins and never ends. The path brings you to a river. It's wider than the canal you crossed earlier, its waters brown and swift. On the far bank, you can see more of the city. White walls and dark roofs, the elegant curves of a castle in the distance. A small boat is moored at the bank, and in it sits a fisherman. He's an old man, his face deeply lined, his hands rough from years of work. He looks up as you approach. Going across? He asks simply. You nod. He gestures for you to step into the boat. It rocks slightly as you settle onto a wooden bench. The fisherman unties the rope and pushes off from the bank with a long pole. The boat drifts into the current, and the fisherman guides it with expert precision. The water laps against the wooden hull, a soft, rhythmic sound. I've been on this river my whole life, the fisherman says, his voice carrying over the water. My father was a fisherman, and his father before him every day, the same river, yet it's never the same twice. He points to the water. Look, the current changes with the seasons. The fish move in patterns, but never the exact same pattern. The sky reflects in the water, but each reflection is unique. You look down at the river, seeing your own reflection ripple and distort. We think we know things, he continues. We think we understand, but life is like this river, always moving, always changing. The trick is not to hold on too tight. You find yourself in a different part of Edo now. The streets are busier here, even in the early morning. Merchants are opening their shops, sliding back wooden screens to reveal their wares. The smell of fresh bread and grilled fish fills the air. Despite the activity, there's a calmness to it. No one rushes, no one shouts. Everything happens with a kind of grace, as if each person is performing a sacred dance. You come to a tea house, larger than the one you saw earlier. Its entrance is marked by a hanging curtain, and through it, you can hear the gentle sound of conversation and the clink of ceramic cups. You step inside. The interior is dim and cool, a relief from the growing warmth of the morning sun. Low tables are scattered throughout the room, some occupied by people drinking tea and eating simple meals. A young woman approaches you, bowing. She wears a simple kimono in pale green, and her hair is arranged in a neat bun. Without a word, she leads you to a table near the window. You kneel on the cushion, and she brings you a tray. On it is a cup of tea, green and frothy, whisked into a perfect consistency. Beside it is a small sweet made of bean paste and wrapped in a leaf. You take the cup in both hands, feeling its warmth. The tea is bitter and bright, awakening your senses. The sweet is a perfect counterpoint, delicate and subtle. As you drink, you watch the street outside. People pass by, merchants, monks, mothers with children, scholars carrying scrolls, each one on their own journey, their own path through this life. And you realize that you too are on a path. That this journey through Edo is not separate from your real life, but part of it. A reminder of what lies beneath the surface of the everyday, the beauty, the peace, the interconnection of all things. The tea ceremony continues in silence. The young woman refills your cup once, then twice. Each time she does so with complete attention, as if this simple act is the most important thing in the world. And perhaps it is. A butterfly lands on your hand. Delicate, translucent wings, patterned in brown and cream. You remain perfectly still, and it stays there for a long moment, opening and closing its wings. Then it lifts off, floating away on invisible currents. In this park, you feel the fullness of peace. Not the peace that comes from having everything you want, but the peace that comes from wanting nothing at all. You close your eyes and simply breathe, in and out, in and out. The cicadas sing, the water ripples, the world turns, and you are here, fully present, fully alive. And then, in the distance, you see it, the doorway, standing alone in the middle of a quiet street, glowing with that same soft golden light. You approach it slowly, savoring these last moments in Edo. The scent of the air, the sound of distant voices, the feel of smooth stones beneath your feet. When you reach the doorway, you pause. You turn and look back one last time at the city, at the wooden buildings and paper lanterns, at the trees and the distant mountains, at the sky now touched with the first hints of sunset. You breathe it all in, this moment, this peace, this beauty. And then you step through the doorway. The world shifts again, softly, like waking from a dream. You are back in your own time, back in your own space. But something has changed. You have changed. The doorway closes softly behind you, and you sleep. Deep, peaceful, dreamless sleep. The kind of sleep that carries you through the night like a boat on a gentle river until morning light finds you again, rested and renewed. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. Sleep well. All is well. All is as it should be. And you're exactly where you need to be. Good night.